Welcome to the 2022 Patient Education and Research Summit. My name is Amy Gray, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the CMTA, and we're thrilled that you've joined us for what we believe will be an incredibly informative and engaging day. We have close to 1,000 people who have registered to join us, attendees from across the US as well as internationally, joining us from over 30 countries around the world. Now, the CMTA's mission is to develop treatments and a cure for CMT and to help improve the quality of life for everyone living with the disease. You will see from the agenda today that the morning and afternoon sessions represent both pillars of our mission. We are very proud to be the largest philanthropic funder of CMT research, spending more on every dollar than any other nonprofit organization. We're also very proud to have the largest network of CMT branches and centers of excellence, where patients and their families receive the care and support needed to navigate all that comes with CMT. Throughout our sessions today, you will learn about the role the CMTA is playing to drive research in CMT and to help patients along their journey. One of the aspects that makes these conferences so special is connecting with fellow CMTers. And although we are meeting virtually today, the team has set up some interactive opportunities for you to connect with your friends from around the globe. One of the other aspects that makes these conferences so special is the information that is shared by CMT experts. We have an incredible lineup of speakers, from patients to clinicians and scientists researching CMT. They have all generously given us their Saturday to be here. I want to thank them for not only sharing their time with us today, but for all they do throughout the year to serve the CMT community. I would also like to thank our conference sponsor, Applied Therapeutics, for providing funding for today's event, as well as Allard for their partnership with the CMTA throughout the year. Now, we wouldn't be here today without the work of the CMTA's team. I would like to especially thank Laurel Richardson, our Director of Community Outreach, and Sarah Gentry, our Technology Manager, for all the work that they put in this past year to bring the conference to life. Now, last but not least, we are thrilled to have an incredible keynote speaker here to kick the conference off this morning. It is my pleasure to introduce him, Kenneth Hill Jr., who will be sharing his inspiring story about being a martial arts Hall of Fame inductee and a CMT warrior. Kenneth, we welcome you to the stage.
Hi, Kenneth. It's
Hi.
Laurel. Welcome to the
Yeah,
stage.
I don't know why my camera will not come on now.
Okay, so let's just, if you look down at the bottom, that camera icon, can you click on that? Thanks for your patience, everyone. The world of virtual and technology. We just need a minute. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, it keeps coming up that, it's opening and then it doesn't turn on again.
Okay. Well, let's do this. So it was working before.
Right.
And there's not a line going through it?
Yeah, it keeps coming up like when I click on it, it'll go away and then it pops back up again.
Do you have it open somewhere else or just right here in this tab?
No, just right here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's maybe refresh your browser. Let's try that, and we'll just sit tight for a second. So if you go up to the refresh button up at the tab,
Right.
let's see if that works. That might help. And we'll all just be super patient, no worries whatsoever.
All right.
How about this? I'm going to go through my housekeeping tips that I was going to share with everyone in just a minute while Kenneth gets his camera working. We'll work with him. So nothing like a little improv on stage to get the summit started. I was going to chat after Kenneth, but for the sake of time and keeping with the schedule, I will do my welcome and housekeeping right now. So thank you everyone for joining us. Very excited to hear Kenneth speak. We'll hear him in just a moment. Appreciate your patience. I'm Laurel Richardson, Director of Community Outreach for the CMTA. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. As a person living with CMT1A, I know how incredibly important these education meetings are for our community and also to connect as community members. So thank you for being with us today. We have just the best of the best clinicians joining us and scientists here with us today. And it's really, truly going to be fantastic. Last year in the post-conference survey that we sent out, you shared your feedback with us and we listened and we designed that day around that feedback. And what makes this day so special is all of you, the CMT community members. So for this year's summit, we formed a summit steering committee made up of 13 fellow CMTers who are deeply committed to helping improve life for those of us living with CMT. And I want to thank each and every one of those steering committee members for generously sharing their time and insight with us. They were instrumental in helping to shape the agenda today. So if you have a second in the chat, be sure to thank our steering committee members. A couple new features this year. We are offering live Spanish translation. So see that little headphone icon below. If you hover over it, you will see that you can hear the Spanish translation live, which is really exciting. So that's for our Spanish-speaking community members. Bienvenido. Also, you can click on the closed caption icon, the CC icon below, during any session to enable the closed caption feature. So if you feel like you're not hearing well or understanding well, go ahead and use that CC icon below. And please take time today to visit the booths and the community tables. The lounge provides a wonderful opportunity to meet others who understand the daily challenges of navigating CMT. And in each session, on the right side of your screen, you will see, or maybe it's that way, you will see a chat box and a Q&A box. The chat box is to chat with others in the session or to share comments. And the Q&A box is where you will put your questions for the speaker. We will do our best to get to the questions. If your question is not answered, you are always welcome to email it into the CMTA at info@cmtausa.org. We will share that email throughout the day. We are honored to have Dr. Sahank presenting in one of the 10:30 a.m. sessions, as well as a remarkable panel of community members talking about living their best lives now with CMT. Please don't worry about missing a session. All the sessions will be recorded and will be added to our website in the coming weeks. So throughout the morning, you do have to choose between one session or the other. But again, they'll be recorded and you will absolutely be able to go back and watch all sessions. If you have any tech questions, as you can see, tech things pop up, please stop by the lounge and head to table number 1, which is the tech help table. And they can help with any and all tech questions if you're struggling with navigation or sound, and you can pop into the lounge and head to table 1, and then you can always come back to the session. Once you're in AirMeet, you're always navigating within this platform. You're not leaving and coming back. So it's okay to go to the tech table in the lounge and then come back. Lastly, if you're a social media person, please post about today's summit. We want the world to know what CMT is and that we are working hard to address any managing CMT issues and aggressively supporting drug development. So tell the world about the summit. Use the hashtag CMT Summit 22. We'll share that in the chat as well. We would love to see some shout outs on social media, so be sure to tag the CMTA, the Charcot-Marie-Tooth Association, when posting. So on with the show, we have Kenneth Hill's camera. This is perfect. And I'm going to excuse myself and I'm going to turn it over to Ken. After Ken speaks, you will go back to the session list and you'll choose between one of the sessions that starts at 10:35 a.m. So Kenneth, thank you for being with us. We're really excited to hear from you. I'm glad you're on camera. Turning it over to you, friend.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for the technical issues. How many of you have heard this phrase? If you're the smartest person in the room, you should go to another room. How many of you agree with that? When I would go to business meetings, social gatherings, or sometimes marketing events, my friends and colleagues, they would utter that same phrase. They told me, the people here didn't have anything for them, so, we should leave. They would laugh at me when I told them that I was staying. To me, that statement is the most insulting thing you can say about a room full of people. I used to think that I was one of those people because of my lack of education, training, and experience, or even just because of the way I was dressed. Many times, you just don't know the struggles that people have. I was very shy and stuttered a lot. Still stutter every now and then. But I had a difficult time telling people that I was bullied from the age of 6 to 16. I silently battled and still struggle with reading comprehension and reading retention. So I would hesitate when it came time to answering questions. At the age of 11, I was a victim of an attempted sexual assault. I always felt embarrassed because I was constantly falling down. I mean, it was terrible. I'd be walking across the grass with friends and suddenly down I went. When my friends noticed I was no longer with them, they turn around and see me picking myself up off the ground, and a roar of laughter would explode out of their mouths. As I'm picking myself up, I realized that my defense mechanism was my sense of humor. And I told them, well, it's because of those ninja dandelions. They looked at me kind of puzzled, even though they were still chuckling, and they're like, ninja dandelions? I was like, yeah, you know, the ones that wrap around your ankles and pull you down. And then when you turn around and look at them again, they're back standing up straight again. I was like, yeah, that's why I fell. So many times when that happened, that's what I would say to them. And I realized my laughter started when they began looking down when we started walking again. Disappointment, discouragement, a lack of confidence, they were common emotions for me. I felt as if my life had very little worth or very little purpose. Have you ever wanted to do something and the people around you said, are you insane? Have you lost your mind? That'll never happen for you. Even though the odds were against me, I began studying martial arts at the age of 9. And it was a struggle. I was constantly spraining, straining, twisting, rolling over ankles, one injury after another. It was very discouraging, and I had no reason to think that this was going to go well, but I continued on. Kindergarten through 12 was not a great time for me. I was happy that it was over. I only had a handful of friends, and they seemed to have their lives in order, and they were going in directions that did not include me. I continued on with martial arts, but at the age of 22, my former doctor and 3 podiatrists suggested that I stop training. And they said, you need surgery on both ankles. They said, without the surgery, you'll be confined to a wheelchair by the age of 35. But if you do get the surgery, you'll make it to 35. It's like, okay. Didn't give me much to really look at. I'm looking at my life at, look at this disaster that I'm living. My new best friends became drugs and alcohol. They were my go-to for managing emotion, coping, just relief for several years. Depression and anger were just at the forefront of how I felt every single day. I wanted a better life, but I didn't know how to ask for a better life. But I finally decided to get it. I went into a drug rehab program, and it was successful for me, not because of friends, not because of family, not even a court order, but because I wanted to be successful and wanted to change my life. My counselor, Mrs. Johnson, she asked me a very powerful question. She said, not including your girlfriend, you don't have any kids, and not including your family and friends, name something that's happened in your life that's really, really good. I figured, how hard can that be? I go through my mental Rolodex, and I pull out a card. Madison Square Garden. Now, part of my journey in martial arts, I spent 9 years as a competitive fighter. And in the 80s, being a fighter and going to Madison Square Garden to fight, that's a big deal. And there I was. The lights, the prestige, the hype of it all. You walk in the arena, there are thousands of people everywhere. But it just goes silent. I'm going over to the area where, I'm assigned to fight. And everything is going well until the official yells, begin. That's when those butterflies that you have before your name is called turn into bats. You know the kind. When you go in a cave and you shine a flashlight in the ceiling, they all go screeching. Well, that's what those butterflies did. They turned into bats. The first round is just getting through the jitters. I get through that. The second round gave me a whole different perspective of the lights. Once I was revived from the knockout that I suffered in the second round, it kind of changed the whole atmosphere. You know what? Let's put that card back and pick another one. Here we go. 1986 Ford Mustang GT, 5-liter, 5-speed manual, white with black on the hood, factory wheels, looked like a sleeper. That car was a beast. I didn't lose a race in the quarter mile or in the street. Oh yeah, I hydroplaned in the rain one morning on the way to work, went across 3 lanes of traffic, smashed that head on into a Jersey barrier, totaled the car. You know what? Let me put that back. Do you see the pattern? I was reliving one disappointment after another because that's all I focused on. I figured, okay, let me pick one more. So, Charcot-Marie tooth disease. Oh boy. All right, you know what? Tooth disease, I figure, okay, something with hygiene. I've had problems with some of my teeth every now and then. Every now and then I have dragon breath. I figure, it's something to do with that. So I started researching. And that's when I learned about it's a disease that affects the peripheral nerves that control the muscles. 1 in 2,500 people are affected by it, more than 3 million worldwide. It's like, oh, I heard my family mention it a time or two, but I didn't think anything of it because they said, oh, yeah, your ankles are bad for martial arts. The more I looked, I was like, great. Sounds like a train wreck. But then I realized the more I researched, the more it gave me answers. And the more answers I received, the more settled I became. I started to understand, okay, I'm having trouble with balance and having difficulty maintaining. And that's because of high arches in my feet and foot drop. Some simple task like buttoning a shirt can take me 20 minutes. I mean, it's a simple task that makes you want to pull your hair out. But just for the record, I didn't do that. I shaved my head. I thought about all the things that I couldn't do, and I remember reading something that Les Brown said. And he said, life has no limitations except the ones you make. Instantly, I started flashbacking to the things that I accomplished that no one ever said I could. They said, that's impossible for you. And then I remember this gentleman from one of those meetings that I stayed where people were, supposedly unqualified. He said, know what your purpose is, and then there's 5 principles to follow. The first one is to take ownership of your dream and your purpose. Decide that, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. The second is to believe in your dream. It's easy to get deterred, and there's going to be distractions, and there's going to be difficulties, but believe in what you want to do. The third is don't compare. No matter what this person is doing, you focus on you. No matter what this person is doing, you focus on you because it's your journey. The fourth thing is to bet on yourself, meaning challenge yourself to do things that you may never have done. Get involved with things, whether it's volunteer, schooling, education, anything, things that you may not think you're even remotely good at, you'll find out you're unlocking gifts that you never knew you had. One of the things I learned from that lesson is that the people that try to pull you down are already beneath you. And the fifth thing is to love what you do. Martial arts is that for me. Now, I drove tractor trailers. And that's when I received my diagnosis. So my mindset went from having a career I love to seeing if I could pick out the coolest wheelchair. And then I remembered, again, all the things that I've already done. And I said, why? Why am I going to stop this? So instead of driving 5 years, I drove 17 years across 46 states in Canada and accumulated more than 1 million miles accident free. Next weekend, I will receive my 12th Hall of Fame, Hall of Honors induction for martial arts. I've been blessed to be selected as one of the feature martial artists in an upcoming film called The Martialist 2, The Past, the Present, and the Future. And that same film, the creator of that created a comic book. And he created a character for me called the Keymaster. None of these things would have been possible if I had given up on myself. I believe in the Most High God. And one of the scriptures that always stands out to me is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. There are no limits to what any of us can do. My greatest blessing is I've been able to teach special needs students martial arts for more than 8 years. One of my students, they come into class and you can see there's something different about them. But they go to what they call their spot and they raise their hand. I walk over to him. He says, Master Hill, I don't know what you expect from me today because you don't know what kind of day I had. It was an extremely profound statement coming from this student because that student couldn't stand still for more than 5 seconds. They were just a little ball of energy. I hesitated before I answered and I said, how about if you give me all that you have and we'll make the best day that we can? That's exactly what happened. It was the best class that student ever had. It was so game changing for not only him, but for his family, because his mom, who oftentimes had her head in her cell phone, watched him that entire hour. And she said, can I hug you? And I said, sure, why? She said, because you taught him something that no one else ever has. You told him to just breathe. And you said, we're going to make the best day that we can. And that's what happened. I've never seen that kind of composure in my child. The reason why it was such an impact, because he was 5 years old. Taught me a lesson. Actually reminded me of a lesson. It doesn't matter if you only have 40% that day. Give 100% of the 40% that you have and move on. What you did yesterday, you did yesterday. What you do today, you do today. What you do tomorrow will come tomorrow. I had the dynamic pleasure of meeting another speaker named Jay Souter. And he gave an example of a philosophy that I have. He said our journeys are a lot like our phone numbers. They're unique to us. We may share sequences of numbers and even patterns of numbers. They may be 10 digits, 11 digits, depending on where you're from, but they're yours. I can't just put in any number to get you. Instead, you have to find what works for you, even if no one else agrees. And that's what I emphasize to everyone. We are all world changers. So let's go out and do that. And I thank you.